Hi, and welcome to a new episode of the Peninsula Point, where aspiration meet possibilities. Here we discuss various aspects about real estate and how we are trying to make a point, quite literally. Today we have Mr. Nandan Piramal with us, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Peninsula Land. Welcome, Nandan. So with Rajiv, we had discussed how democratization of land buying is a trend and how Peninsula Estates is enabling that. With you, we'd like to understand deeper into consumer behavior and how do you assess the right land.
Okay, so great to be here. First of all, Meet. I hope everyone watched episode 1 because episode 1 was the kind of foundation of what we're trying to do.
Right.
But it's not just about buying land. It's about where you buy the land and how much you pay to buy the land. So I think for us, these two, it's location and size as well as the democratization of the land, which is important.
Right. So you mentioned location. Let's deep dive into that. Is there certain benchmarks that we follow at Peninsula?
Absolutely, yeah. So at Peninsula, we've coined something at Peninsula Estates called the 100-minute rule.
Right.
So what is the 100-minute rule? The 100-minute rule means that from my house where I live today, I should be able to get to my co-primary house in the next 100 minutes.
Oh, you mentioned co-primary house. What exactly do you mean by that?
This concept of co-primary living is something that I've seen all over the world.
Right.
So if you go to summer in the US, for example, there are people who from New York City live in the Hamptons. It's about an hour and a half away. You live all week or you live till Wednesday in the city, and then for the weekend you move to your second home or your co-primary home. I see the same thing in India as well. So I think places like Alibag, places like Karjat, places which are within a 100-minute radius from Bombay city will be something that you can also live in through the week. And people are used to a 100-minute commute today in Bombay. I don't think if about more than 70% of people would be commuting more than 90 minutes a day today in Bombay, one way.
Yeah.
So 100 minutes doesn't seem so far away. I think to have the amenities and to have everything that a land and everything that a living out of the city gives you, and to also be within a distance, I think that's what we are looking at.
Right. And Mumbai has a trend of assessing distance by time.
Yes.
So I mean that makes sense. What also I would like to understand now, let's take Mumbai for example. Within the 100-minute radius, there are various locations that come. So you can think of Karjat, like you mentioned, Alibag, Khopoli, for some even Lonavala. So how do you then assess within that 100-minute radius which is the right location?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of things that we look at when we are looking within the, like rightly said, there are a lot of areas, there are a lot of options within the 100-minute radius as well. So for us, there are two things that we look at. One is we look at the area around. So what is the social infrastructure today? What is the different kinds of amenities available to people if they go and live there? You can buy a piece of land in the back of beyond where there's no social infrastructure. It may be within 100 minutes, but it's not going to be there for your purpose.
Right.
I think the purpose that we are trying to, and the areas that we are trying to look at, is areas which are developing fast, areas where there is a price appreciation opportunity as well for a buyer who comes in, and areas where there's social infrastructure either set up or in the process of being set up. So it's not just about going, when people think of second homes, you think of, okay, I'll go there once every 6 months, I'll go there once every 2 months. And it's like I use it 10 times a year, I use it 6 times a year. For us, I think we're looking at homes, or we're looking at people who are going to use it every week or every 2 weeks. And that forms the key of what we're looking at.
So it supports a more holistic lifestyle and the kind of lifestyle that they've been aspiring to live in their Mumbai apartment.
Absolutely.
But the apartment, because of whatever size, hasn't been able to enable that.
Absolutely.
And it enables them to reach there in that 100-minute radius. Right.
Sorry, I will interrupt you there, but I have actually a story, and it's kind of, it will attune people. So I born and brought up in Bombay.
Right.
I'm a kid of the 1980s. In the 1980s, we had a weekend family home in Juhu. Right. So at that time, it was like, okay, well, where are we going for the weekend? We're going to Juhu. Today, if you ask people, they'll be aghast at that. Then from Juhu in the 90s, it went to Marve, which is Malad. So today, it's like, that was where you went for your weekend home. In the 2000s, it became Alibag. In 2010s, it's Alibag and Karjat. So I'm saying eventually in the next 10-15 years, as the city is expanding, all these areas will become part of the city, and people, it won't be such a like I'm going to my weekend home, right? It was Juhu was my weekend home in the 1980s. So I think the concept of this co-primary living and areas becoming, as social infrastructure goes, becoming part of a larger city metropolis area where people can then commute in and have the lifestyle and life of living in the wilderness, but also have the accessibility and of the city. I think that's the future, I feel, and I think that's what we're trying to kind of.
You mentioned about the co-primary home. You mentioned about this need. What is a typical investment that a user will look at when they'll opt for this kind of an option?
Absolutely. I think very important point. I would like to just compare it to an apartment owner in Mumbai city. So in Mumbai, in the island city, I think if you look at 1,000 square foot apartment, at most places I think an average will be between 5 to 7 crores.
True.
Today, what we are offering and what we are selling at Peninsula Estates will be, for half the money, you will get 5x the usable area.
Wow.
And that's the value proposition that we feel is a wow.
Very insightful, Nandan. I thank you for all the inputs that you provided from a location and point of view. And a very strong proposition that Peninsula Estates is going to come up with. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that's the Peninsula Point.